Welcome to the Inspired Connection. I am so happy that you are here. Truly, this is the place to build your true potential. It is about fueling your purpose, building your passion, building your authenticity and your strategic action to create purpose to profits, to align your purpose with your profit.
There we are. We are here live. Yay, yay. Thanks for being here, Diane. I'm very much looking forward to this conversation today.
Thank you.
Thank you for jumping on to the Purpose to Profits Rainmaker. For those of you who have never met me before, my name is Carolyn Cooper, and I have the honor of leading an organization called the Inspired Connection.ca. And I do support for businesses one-on-one. I do speaking as well as masterminds, which I really, really love serving and supporting businesses to connect their purpose, passion to profits. And that's why we're here today. So I'm very honored to introduce you to Diane Wolf. And she is an incredible human being that uses the latest in neuroscience research and helps entrepreneurs and business professionals learn how to tame the stress dragon. How good does that sound? I love it. She is a psychotherapist, certified clinical trauma professional. She's also a speaker, an educator, and retired business professor. In her psychotherapy practice, she works primarily with first responders who are overcoming PTSD. Her background includes over 40 years of studying neuroscience, an MBA in knowledge and learning management, and a master's degree in clinical counseling. She takes complicated neuroscience research and translates that into practical strategies to rewire the brain to manage stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. So I'm just super honored you're here today. Now, tell us about this concept that you share consistently, and that is that your brain is not broken.
Thank you, Carolyn. I'm delighted to be here. And yes, I am passionate about spreading that message that your brain is not broken. When clients first come to me, they do say, I'm broken. There's something wrong. I can't handle the stress anymore. They've been diagnosed with PTSD. And I often say, well, if the yellow check engine light in your car comes on, do you decide you have to find a way to unplug the yellow light because that's a problem? Or do you recognize the yellow light is not the problem? It's letting you know that there is a problem. And it's the same with a fire alarm, smoke alarm. When the smoke alarm goes off, we don't say we have to unplug the batteries or take it off the wall because there's something wrong with it. It's doing what it was supposed to do. And when your brain has symptoms starting to show up of stress, whether that's headaches or sleep disturbances or becoming overly emotional at times, more than you would normally, frustration, all of these symptoms, we say there's something wrong with me. Why am I so agitated? And I say that's the alarm going off. The agitation, the sleep disturbance, whatever you're dealing with, that's the alarm. What we have to do now is figure out what's causing those symptoms to be warning you that something has to change.
Yeah. I mean, our bodies speak to us and we need to listen.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, really. So how do we turn neuroscience into action?
Okay, well, to simplify this, because otherwise I could be speaking for weeks and weeks, I'm definitely the neuro nerd. But when we recognize that things like feeling agitated or short-tempered or overwhelmed or exhausted, instead of saying, oh, what's wrong with me that I'm exhausted? We have to go, okay, what is my body telling me? And quite often what it's telling us is that we are exposed to chronic stress in our society. our body is meant to be able to deal with stress if it's temporary and fairly rare. The first responders that I work with, they spend their days ignoring the brain's message. Firefighters run into a burning building when any normal person would say, I'm not going in there. Our law enforcement officers go into situations that are dangerous. So they're basically fast forwarding the stress process that we all experience, but they're experiencing it several times a day. So instead of saying, oh, I need to work harder, I need to do more, we want to say, clearly stress is an issue right now, and I need to find ways of dealing with it. And it's not rocket science. We're looking at, well, what is the stress response? It's an excess of cortisol and adrenaline pumping through your body. It's the fight or flight reflex, or freeze. Sometimes people tend to freeze. And that's the reflex that your body is showing to help you deal with a stressful situation. Now, a long time ago, it would have been the wild animal coming out of the woods, or, having to deal with something dangerous. So our body prepares us physically, floods us with cortisol and adrenaline. Energy is diverted to our limbs so that we could run or lift something heavy or fight. Energy is diverted away from things like digestion. So that's why stomach cramps and digestive issues and diarrhea and all of those things are a prime stress symptom, because when we're under stress, those organs are deprived of energy. So we have to say, all right, if I'm not going to be able to fight my boss or run away from, my little kids or my business, how can I get rid of that cortisol and adrenaline? And our first strategy is to exercise. Since that cortisol and adrenaline is floating in our bodies to prepare us to fight or flee, sitting at a desk being upset and agitated is the worst thing we can do. We need to find a way to release it. Whether we're sitting at a desk and can't escape and we have to, clench our hands and clench our feet. You can do that under a table. Nobody would even notice. Or going for a brisk walk up and down the stairs, or actually if we're self-employed, getting outside or on a treadmill for a few minutes. What we want to do as quickly as possible is release that cortisol and adrenaline from our bodies. The problem is when we're very agitated and stressed, people often say things to us like, relax, calm down, take a deep breath. That would be great advice if it worked.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
No, I think that for me, I go on my jaunts in the morning. I do 5K. I don't jog and I don't walk. It's an in-between because in my mature years. But I know that creates so much inner peace for me and grounded energy for me to be on Zoom and to do what I do every day as a business leader. So that is an alignment. So I'm doing that well. So I'm happy about that. So also, can you share a moment when you felt your work was truly making a difference in someone's life?
Well, as I say, I work with first responders who are off work. They're unable to work because of PTSD. And our first visit, they are usually very down. They feel broken. They feel worthless. They can't do what they used to be able to do. And when I see them recovering, it's a slow process for PTSD. And don't get me wrong, business owners who are dealing with stress aren't all going to develop PTSD. I work specifically with a part of the population that experiences a great deal of cumulative trauma. But the principle is basically the same. When we're feeling stressed and we start to implement these strategies and they start to exercise, they work on their sleep. Sleep hygiene is another really big thing. Fueling your body appropriately, having a support network, processing the trauma, all of these things. And to have people in the first meeting say to me, I can't even open up my curtains. I'm too frightened. And to have them, a year later going to the mall. And the pride when they share with me, Diane, you're not going to believe what I was able to do this week. I would never have been able to do this without you. And I always say, it's not me. You're doing all the hard work. I'm just the cheerleader.
Yeah.
You've done it all. And it's so affirming when they can now do things that they thought were impossible a year ago.
And I'm just going to relate this to business owners. Our energy is everything.
Yeah.
And that when we lose hope, we lose faith, we've lost our path, when we're not connected to our purpose and we're on that hamster wheel trying everything and anything, that's when people get lost as entrepreneurs. And the stress of feeling that you have to do this alone is absolutely can be like a trauma.
Yes.
Within yourself. If you're creating this successful business, I'd say that your path to purpose is your freedom, because when you serve from your highest self too, when you serve from that place of clarity and contribution, your clients will be like magnets. They're attracted to you. If you're stressed and doubting and in fear and feeling that sense of isolation, even if you show up at networking events, people are not going to want to partner with you or connect with you. So this is in complete alignment with that business leader that has big dreams of taking their purpose to profits too. Don't you agree?
I totally agree. And when I work with entrepreneurs and business professionals, one thing that I see that is a really big piece of the stress for them is they don't have sick leave because they're self-employed. And they're usually really productive people because they are pursuing their own business dream, which of course is wonderful, but they feel guilty taking the time to look after themselves. So when I say things like, if you're feeling agitated, go for a walk, they often say, well, I don't really have time. Like, I'm running my own business. And I say, well, if you can't actually leave the building because you have a brick and mortar business and you're there by yourself, you can still go in the back room and do some funny hand motions. And like, there's stuff that you can do. But understanding that taking the time for self-care is a return on investment. If you go out for a half-hour brisk walk in the cold, when you come back in, you have more energy to accomplish more. So I really encourage particularly business owners not to look at it as, I don't have time to take half an hour to do this, but to look at it like, whoa, I am really busy and really tired. I'm going to have to take my half-hour exercise break so that I have the energy and stamina for the rest of the day.
And it's also beyond that, I think, personally. It's, I call it, I love going in nature, doing my jaunts. I call it nature's nourishment to me. So it's just taking that, your mindset, your thoughts, your process out of what you're trying to work on. If you feel frustrated and it's not working and it's just not creatively or innovatively happening for you, taking that break and being separate and then coming back, you're actually more productive because you have more focused energy to be present with that too, right? I mean, it has a huge, huge difference. You can fight with something and keep trying to force it, but to let that go, to be the leader that you're meant to be, and then come back to it. Yeah. Right.
Not only that, research has certainly shown that you're better at problem solving after you've had a bit of a break. But research has also shown that if you're trying to solve a problem, if you think about it when you're going to bed before you do your relaxation stuff, but you've been thinking about it, sometimes you'll wake up in the morning and the answer is there because you've been subconsciously processing it during the night.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I just know that as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, we constantly can be innovatively and creatively thinking of solutions and answers, new strategies and new processes, and to try and make it happen, but to step back. So I love this conversation. So can you share a marketing or sales approach that has been particularly effective for your purpose-driven business?
For my business, it's really talking to people ahead of time, whether that's networking or even in speaking engagements. Most of my referrals come word of mouth because people have actually experienced what I do or they've heard me speak. And people often say, oh, you should never speak for free. I don't know how many of our business owners watching might be speakers, but the reality is sometimes people want a taste of what you do. And so I do speak at all sorts of different events, and inevitably I get actual clients out of that because when they've experienced, when they've heard what I say, it resonates. When I say sleep is really important, we are a sleep deprived society, we can't be as effective, they go, oh, I'm really tired. Okay, I need to talk to Diane. So for me, the best marketing strategy has been to be very visible. Yes. And to be giving back. So I'm not just visible looking for, myself. I'm visible looking to see what I can give to various communities, knowing that people who are interested in what I do will find me if I'm findable. And I was in a marketing seminar not long ago, and they said, sales is more about farming than hunting. And I just loved that quote And
Yes.
so that's what I see. It's about building relationships, building community, getting to know people. And then when they do have a crisis, they think of you because they already know you.
Well, and they trust you. It's planting seeds. It,
Yeah.
it truly is. And to me, speaking, and that's why I'm creating this Purpose to Profits Rainmaker series, is so people can get to know me as well as every single guest. So now people have gotten to know you, Diane, here on this Purpose to Profits Rainmaker interview. So my last question is this. And how do you nurture your own well-being while pursuing your mission?
It's really important to me not to be a hypocrite. And so when I think of all the things I'm preaching 5 days a week to my clients, one of my favorite examples is I always say, don't wait until you feel like something. Motivation is overrated. Just do it because. And a few weeks ago, I was having not a good day. My grandson was in the hospital. I was feeling very down. And I texted my daughter at 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And I said, I'm supposed to go to Aquafit at 12:15, but I'm just not feeling it. And I hoped she'd email back and say, oh, poor mom, listen, I know you're upset. Why don't you just take the day off? She emailed back and said, what do you tell your clients? I'm like, darn. I tell my clients, don't wait till you feel like it, do it anyway. So I went.
Yeah.
I had to go because I didn't want to be a hypocrite. So I am actually very good at self-care, more out of a desire not to be a hypocrite than an actual genuine desire to do what's right for me. I have to confess that, but it means I'm really good at it. So my clients say, well, you're telling us to do this stuff. Do you do it? I can look them straight in the eye and go, oh, yes, I do, even when I don't feel like it.
Well, to me, this piece is authenticity. See, I think people in this world are yearning and searching for people that are authentic, that they can trust, and know that that person is living their life on purpose with meaning and their mission. So you are truly doing that. And I thank you for all you contribute to all the people that you serve. And I look forward to seeing you speak at another event and the next event. So I want to thank our audience for being here today. And please go to Grand Connection, the inspiredconnection.ca. Thank you. And we will see you next Monday at 1:30. And thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Carolyn. This was a pleasure.